Alright, now it's time to do some decorating of one of our dinosaurs, our Brontosaurus. Before you start, the first thing I want you to do, and this is why it's really handy to have your paper towel, is to put the tip of the bag on the paper, and you push down, and you just clear the tip like that. You can see there's no icing right there at the tip. Another good tip for when you're doing your cookie decorating is you don't hold the bag right on the cookie and drag it across. Actually holding it sort of more like this. So it's just hovering on top. Alright, let's get started. So you can do it along with me if you want, or you can watch the video and then have a go. I'm actually lifting and laying down the icing. So it's not going straight right close to the cookie. I did at the very start to find the spot where I was going to start. And then I'm lifting it up and lying it down. Also not squeezing the bag very hard because I don't want it to go everywhere. Now if you don't get it exactly around the outside of the cookie, that's okay. I'm doing mine a little bit away from the edge so I can show you how you move your icing to fill in and meet the shape of the cookie. Let's go around and we'll do his tail and his legs. So I'm not squeezing very hard, almost done with the outline. There, that's the outline of our Brontosaurus done. Now you check your icing bag and make sure it's not dripping. If it is, use your paper towel. Tip down, paper towel over, push, and then you check. You make sure that there's no icing there in that tip. So when you're decorating cookies, sometimes you have, some people like to use two different bags. I like to use one where it's all one consistency. But what that means is that you can't make your outline very thick. You just need a really thin one, because if you make it really thick, then when you go to start filling in the inside like this, then it just goes everywhere. You start almost like you're colouring in. Now I'm squeezing a little bit harder for this one because you're getting more icing out, but you don't want to squeeze it so hard that you can feel the bag start breaking, or that so much icing comes out that it just goes everywhere. So just squeezing a little bit harder than what you were when you were doing the outline. Now you've got 3 different colours in your set, so you can choose if you want to do blue neck or a blue head or a green, whichever colours come with your set. That's okay. You can do some different patterns, you can do some stripes. You don't have to do it the same as mine. I'm just keeping mine as one colour because it's a little bit easier when I'm doing the video for you. Okay, so filled in lots, but not all of it yet. I'm going to go back to this area where there's a little bit of a gap and just put a little bit more icing in there. I'm not squeezing very hard. And you might hear me readjusting. What I'm doing is here's the knot, and I'm holding it below the knot and pushing the icing down. So it's really full down here. Otherwise, you'll end up with a bag like this. This was at the end of one of my sessions. Is that there's a little bit of icing here, a little bit here, a little bit here. But what you want to do is you hold just below the knot or the tie, and you push all the icing down. So the bag looks quite full like that. So before you get ready, hold just before the knot and you push it down. There you go. And I'm squeezing a bit harder now, but not so much that the bag is going to break or that all the icing is going to come out at once. Fill in a few more gaps. And we're almost ready to use our toothpick. So, I'll grab my toothpick. And this is where you're going to fix up the outline if you would like it to look a little bit different to what it does right now. So I'm not touching the cookie. My toothpick is actually just going the icing. Just moving it around to meet the edges of the cookie. You don't have to do this. I like to make sure that my icing goes right to the edge of the cookies, but I'm actually doing it as a business, so mine have to be a little bit different, whereas yours are just super duper fun. So using your icing to make sure it's really even, because when it dries you want it to be really flat, not lumpy. And if you've got more icing in some sections, like right here, then it's going to look a little bit lumpy. I'm going to turn the cookie. If you need to turn the cookie, just put your finger close to the table or the plate and you just push it around. You don't need to grab it. You just spin with your fingers like that. It's very important to spin your cookie if you need to, rather than trying to get your elbow on the table to look around it. Just fill in all the way to your outline. And then we're going to do some sprinkles after this. Okay, so now I want you to look really closely at your cookie. Can you see any bubbles? If you can, I want you to go pop with your toothpick. Because if you've got bubbles in there, that was a really good one. If you've got bubbles, it means that when it dries, that air bubble might actually pop. And then that will leave a really big dent in your cookie. Okay, let's do some sprinkles. So again, my sprinkles might look a little bit different to yours, because that's just what I've got in front of me, and that's what I'm going to use. I try and use things that just need to be used up, but I'll use the same amount as you. So I've got some sprinkles here. I might make him some sprinkly legs. Use your toothpick to move them into place. And the same on this side. Pop, 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 pop. There we go. Do one little orange one there. Want him to have party legs and a party tail. Now I'll give him an eye. So I'm not using my fingers to push it down, using the toothpick just to gently nudge it into place. I think I might give him a party tail as well. I hope you've made sure that your hands are nice and clean before you start. And let's give him a scarf as well. Moving that into place. And now, guys, is the really hard part, because you might have just done this beautiful dinosaur or name or unicorn, and now you have to wait. So you know what it's a great time to do now? It's a great time to carefully move your cookie onto a plate or a tray. Just pop it somewhere out of reach. It's going to be there for a little while. It might be there for a few hours, and that's okay. Now, if you want to speed up the process and play with it or eat it a little bit quicker, one tip you can do, and you need to do this with your mum and dad, is turn the oven onto a really low temperature. So about 80, 90 degrees. And just pop the cookie on there and pop it in the oven. It won't cook it. It won't burn it. All it does is it helps the icing to dry a little bit quicker, because this is a special type of icing, and so it needs a little bit of time to dry. It does take a little bit longer to dry, because the way I do it, it comes up with a little bit more of a shine, which is a bit nicer. So if you want it to go a bit quicker, you can ask your mum and dad to help you and put it in the oven for a little while on a really low temperature for about 15-20 minutes, and then see how it is. If not, it might need to be there for a few hours, but it will be a great snack once it's ready. Okay, let me show you some of the things that you can do while you're waiting.